You know what's a fantastic motivator for men? Shame. I'm telling you now, it works. Shame. If I'm around my house and someone was getting fat and all of us were to go, you're a fat, what are you eating that for? I guarantee they'd train. Shame works with men. And you talk about this, and this is the reason I promote brotherhood. The reason I am the man I am is not just because I'm so fantastic. It's because I, even now to this day, live with 6 men. I live with my fight coach. I live with my brother. I live with some of my old friends I've had for 20 years. We live in this big compound, this huge house. If I wake up and my brother's been training an hour and a half, I feel so annoyed and angry and guilty that I have to go and beat him now. So that competitiveness keeps us constantly at edge. People say me and Tristan are best friends and our brotherhood is fantastic, but it is based on competitiveness. But we don't compete against each other. We compete to prove to each other we're a good teammate in the battle against the Matrix. Well, you have to understand that there's enough outside enemies. You have to put your ego aside and say, look, there's enough people who already want me dead. We're the same blood. Can't we at least unite against all the people who want me dead? I want you. I'm in competition with you, Tristan. I want to beat you to prove to you I'm a fantastic teammate to you, as opposed to I want to beat you because I don't like you. And it's a different mentality. And we'll sit there, and my brother and I are in constant, endless competition, but it keeps us sharp. So masculine competition is super important, which is why it's the third thing I teach, which is brotherhood. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you find some guys who have their game right, your game's going to get straight. It's as simple as that. And I think if you take any man on the planet in any situation, in any scenario, and you tell him to become as strong as possible because of all the lessons he's going to learn, become as rich as possible because of all the lessons he's going to learn, plus obviously being strong and rich are benefits, plus find a network of brotherhood of men who are accountable to themselves and by extension accountable to you. If you're accountable to yourself as a man, you're also accountable for your friends. I don't want loser friends. I don't want dickhead friends. If I had a guy I really liked and start being a dickhead, I'd try very hard to fix him. And if I couldn't fix him, I wouldn't be his friend anymore. I'd say, stop that. We don't do that. Why are you doing that? What are you crying about again? Why are you acting that way? Come on, let's go train. I don't want to train. But we always train. Come on, let's go. And then after a while, I'd be like, he doesn't train anymore. Get him out. Bye. Go get eaten by wolves. That's the unfortunate reality of the world, because I'm just some of the 5 people I spend the most time with. I don't want to wake up one day feeling terrible and going, but he's missing the day and I might miss the day. His poison will get in my brain. I have to resist it. So if you get a brotherhood, masculine brotherhood, and you're accountable for yourself and for them, you're going to be able to do nearly anything.
People will shield laziness with anything. No one wants to admit they're lazy. So they'll shield it with disbelief. That's a scam. Or I don't work hard, I work smart. Bollocks. More cover. For just anything it takes to say, I don't want to work.
Do you believe in that? Work smarter, not harder?
I believe in both.
Yeah.
But there's a time when it comes to work smart. And most people are trying to do the smart work before they do the hard work. It's kind of like talent, right? You don't notice if you're talented at something until all the hard work's done.
Yep.
I could be the most talented tennis player in the world, but I don't play tennis. So if I go down the tennis court, Joe Schmo's going to smoke me. I don't get to see my talent until I've worked so hard that I'm in the top 1%, and now I'm beating them because I have some God-given gift.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You have to do the hard work first. If there's no hard work, there's no smart work. So someone's going to sit there and go, I work smart, I don't work hard, so I only have to work an hour a day. If working smart gets you a lot done in an hour a day, then you should work smart for 12 hours a day and get 12 times the work done. I am absolutely and utterly a believer in hard work. I'm a proponent of hard work. I have all this money and all I do is work. My entire life is work. This podcast is work. I'm getting in the car, I'm going to another meeting, work. I'm going, bitch, that's work. She's going to be on my arm at the can on the film festival. That's more credibility. I consider it work to her. That's work. I want to go to the gym so I'm in good shape. Work. It's all work. My entire life is work. And people don't want to look at life that way. They want to talk about work-life balance and being lazy and all this crap. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in if you want to win, you have to outcompete the man who's prepared to do nothing but work. It's player versus player. If you're going to sit there and go, I don't want to work more than an hour a day, well, the guy who does want to work more than an hour a day is going to beat you. And no matter how smart you are, there's always a smart dude who's doing the same smart work you are for more hours than you're doing it. That's just the nature of the game. And we talked earlier about speed. Most people go, it's only 2 weeks. It's only a week. It's only a week. People who say it's only a week are the people who are broke.
They don't value time.
That's the reason you're all poor, because you say it's only a week. So, it's tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it later. It's only an hour. It's only a day. It's only a minute. You are competing against people like me. You do not waste a second. Being a normal man or an average Joe is always going to suck. The only way to have a good life as a man is to be exceptional in some fields. Here's how you do it. You need to work your ass off. They delete me. They want men to stay depressed, semi-depressed, miserable, paying the taxes, just rich enough to pay tax, too broke to do anything else. Yeah. That's what they want. That's where they want you. So they don't care about men's mental health either. They don't care how many men kill themselves. They don't give a shit. This is why I talk about the Matrix. People say, why do you talk about the Matrix all the time? And I say there are people who are living right now in a computer-generated reality. If you believe everything you're watching on the news, you are believing a complete false version of reality. And the idea of that reality is to keep your brain occupied enough so that you'll continue to do a shit job for shit wages and pay your taxes until you die. That's exactly that's the plot of the Matrix movie. They're abusing your body and controlling your mind so that your body will sit there and do what they need it to do until you're no longer useful anymore. And that's exactly what's happening. And another question I get is people ask me why I'm so interested in this fight against the Matrix. And I try and explain to people that I believe this fight cannot be avoided. I think you're either combating the Matrix and fighting against the garbage they're telling you, or you're believing it. And if you believe it, then you end up fighting against yourself. You end up fighting against your own mind. You can't avoid the battle. If you're a full-grown man and you believe everything that's on the news, you're going to end up semi-depressed, divorced, miserable, broke. Like your life's shit anyway. There's no way to escape this fight. You're either buying their crap and fighting against your mind, or you're fighting against their crap. There's no other way to do it. I've never met somebody with a fantastic life who did not completely and utterly believe in themselves. I've never seen somebody massively succeed and they didn't believe in themselves. Ever. I've never seen somebody who just allows life to happen to them and become blown off course by some sadness, end up doing massively monumental and important things. I've never seen it. And if she leaves me afterwards, let's say she just likes to leave men, I don't care. Yeah. I'm still working. You're still crying. You can't possibly ever beat me. I'll continue to beat you into eternity, as will my bloodline. You will sit and pay the price for the rest of your human years. Even your ancestors above you are disappointed in you, and your offspring for the rest of your lineage will look up and say, my great-great-great-grandfather was a loser because I broke his heart, and now we've been broke ever since.
Yeah.
Chess and fighting are remarkably similar.
Very. You have to know what your next move is going to be countering his next move.
And there's no luck. If you lose, you made a mistake. There's no such thing as a lucky punch. If I'm losing a fight, or if I'm beating some guy up, and he hits me with one shot and knocks me out, and people go, that's a lucky punch. He's trained his whole life to punch people in the face, and he punched me in the face. You call that lucky? I call that good. I think it was a very good punch. Excellent. Probably his best punch of his career. No such thing as lucky punches. Same thing with chess. If
and
you
also
lose,
you left your guard down.
Absolutely. It's my fault. Same thing with chess. Brutal self-accountability. If you lose, you made a mistake somewhere. How do you learn that? You have to go back, reflect. You have to watch the game back, play the game back. Where did I make the mistake? You don't blame your opponent. You blame yourself always in chess. It's self-accountability. So when I stopped playing professional chess, I decided to move over to fighting because they're very similar. It's one-on-one. It's not a team sport. So that's why I chose to fight. But I never considered fighting fun. I never took it as, ha, 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 this is fun. I was out to hurt people. For real. Firstly, I'm going to tell you something about myself and most rich people. We don't own anything. I don't own anything. I don't own anything. There may be a trust fund in Ecuador that owns a company in Singapore that might own a yacht that I can borrow, for example. I don't own shit. So that's the first thing. The second thing, you have all these different jurisdictions around the world. It's extremely complicated. How are you going to tax a rich guy? He has houses here, houses there, company here, company there, all the companies making a loss. Does Starbucks pay tax? No, Starbucks supposedly doesn't make money. Supposedly Uber's never made profit. An app on the phone with millions of cars around the world and people working endless hours for them and them getting a cut of it to run an app. Supposedly they've never made profit, never paid a penny tax. Funny how that works. You can't tax the rich. It's too complicated. You can't tax the rich. It doesn't work. All you're going to do is just drive them into other countries. If England right now today were to announce a huge tax on the rich people would just go, oh, cool. I'll base my company out of Belize. 2 pieces of paper.
We don't really learn lessons unless they're learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I believe that unless a lesson has taught the hard way, you're not going to learn it. You can have so many near misses and people won't learn their lesson. Bro, you must know a guy who goes out there, nearly crashes his car, doesn't slow his ass down till he wrecks it.
Yeah.
Like, this is how people are, right? So you need that pain for the lesson to sting enough to really genuinely go inside of your mind. And it's the same with everything. It's the same with driving a car or business. Truthfully, if you want to learn a lesson about business, you're going to have to suffer at some point, right? So we always say that most people are not successful with their first companies, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. I get that. The truth is there's a lot of people who make a lot of money with their first company, but they just spunk it, act an idiot, and it all blows up in their face. And that's how you get the discipline on your fourth company that when you have 3 million in the bank, you just leave it there. You know, and don't be done with it. So you need to go through some pain. You need to experience some negative things. You need to have to a degree some trauma to really even learn any lessons. So yeah, business studies, you're right. The book, That's not going to teach you anything about business. You need to get out there on the streets. You need to make mistakes. You need to suffer. You need to have the tax man knocking at your door. You got to deal with all that stuff so that you make sure it doesn't happen again. I really think that humans are stupid enough to only learn the hard way. That's kind of how it works.
The problem with owning something is that it can be taken from you. So let's look at it the American way. In America, litigation is a big problem. Everyone gets sued all the time. So you don't want to own anything, because if you get sued, then you're going to have to pay that debt. And you might have to sell your assets to pay that debt.
Not if it's in a company though, if it's in a limited company.
Correct. This is the point. So
Yeah.
people don't own anything themselves.
Okay, so they only do their company.
It's a limited company owns it.
Yeah,
a trust
yeah,
owns it.
exactly.
So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at the Panama Papers.
Yeah.
Look at it. And then it gets really complicated. And this is what I'm saying, where the average Joe Schmo at home has no idea how this stuff works. Because let's look at Nike, for example. Nike doesn't pay any tax. Why does Nike not pay tax? Well, I'll give you a very simple version. They have two companies. One set up in Belize with a 1% tax rate. One set up in Europe. The one set up in Europe sells Nike trainers, pays all the staff, pays the stores, sells all the shoes, makes all the money, blah, 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 makes millions and millions and millions in profit. The one in Belize owns the trademark. So after 100 million, 200 million, whatever it is, comes into the European company. The European company has a debt to Belize to use the trademark of all the profit. Isn't that coincidental?
Yeah, right.
That goes to Belize. Then Belize government comes along and goes, give us 1%. Nothing. Boom, boom, done. It's all a scam. It's all a lie. It's all a scam. The person who gets, it's always the same. It's the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
The guy in the middle is going to get wrecked. It makes me laugh when they talk about, we're going to increase taxes, da-da-da. When they talk about increases taxes, they're not trying to chase down the billionaire on his yacht, because they can't. They're trying to chase down the guy with an address, who can't move, can't leave. He has a mortgage debt, 2 kids and a dog, living somewhere in Sunderland, and he's stuck there.
I walk in a gas station, put a mask on. No, I won't serve you. Okay, is the gas free? Because I filled up. So you're gonna take my money, or I'm gonna have free gas? No, you have to pay. Well, then fucking serve me, dummy. Yeah. Put a mask on. No, it's just some stupid thing. In the end, they take my money. It was a big waste of everybody's time. And I'd say to them, bro, you're earning 700 pounds a month, working for a corporation that wouldn't give a about you. You got stage 5 cancer. Why do you care? If I worked in BP, and someone walked into my gas station and decided to start a fire in the corner and barbecue some sausages, I wouldn't give a I'd be like, please stop, bro. Whatever. Like, why do these people, they're so fervently passionate about the rules of the BP station?
But do we need
slave in your mind?
Do we need slaves though? Because
Yes,
obviously
we do.
we need people to work and do those jobs that obviously the free people can't do.
And this is the full circle realization when you get to the point where, as frustrating as it was, you need this slave class of people who buy bullshit so that I don't have to do bullshit stuff, which is great. But usually the bullshit people can't tell me what to do. It's only during COVID they were allowed, and now that's all over. They can't tell me what to do anymore, so it's fine. But if you're and not everybody's mind can be free, because in society it would break down. But of course, some people's minds are designed for freedom and some people's aren't. But it's amazing when you're talking to the slave mind, trying to get through to them. You have two choices. Either you understand what's happening in the world today and you're on the side of good and you're fighting against the Matrix, or you've accepted all the Matrix programming to pretend that there is no battle, and then by extension, you're going to end up fighting against your own mind. And you're going to be in a fight either way. Your mind's either right and you're fighting externally against the enemy, or you've accepted the Matrix programming and you're sitting there fighting against your own depression, your own anxiety, fighting against your own struggles inside of yourself. You're going to fight anyway. There is no way to avoid this. So you have to make a decision. Do you want to have control of your own mind and control of yourself and fight for God and fight on the side of good against evil? Or do you want to accept the evil programming, fall down a hole of degeneracy and fight against yourself and self-destruct and implode? That's your choice to make. But I think the intelligent choice is to fight against evil. But also, you know, life teaches you a lot. And I think a lot of people are not very self-reflective of their own lives. I don't think you can read a book and that's great. But I think if you're living an interesting life, if you were to take half an hour a day to actually sit and go, okay, what good has happened to me today? And what bad has happened to me today? Why have those things happened? And how can I prevent them from happening again? Most people don't, that kind of crap doesn't even cross their minds. Like every day I will sit at the end of the day and go, what bad has happened to me today? How did that happen? Did I get caught slipping was I on the street and some guys come up to me and it could have been a dangerous situation? Like, how could I genuinely have improved my reality? And you can self-reflect and teach yourself everything.
But that's total ownership of your life, isn't it?
But you have to have.
A lot of people don't.
You have to have ownership of everything good that's ever happened to you and everything bad that's ever happened to you. I have complete ownership for the fact I was canceled. I don't sit there and go, oh, they're lying about me. Yes, they're lying, but I still own it completely.
They're lying about me and they're talking shit, but I own it and I took responsibility for it. And I sat there and I took absolute accountability and I thought, okay, how can I turn this in my favor? And I beat them. If I'm walking down the street and it starts to rain, I take responsibility for that. I didn't have to be in rainy London. I could have been somewhere else. I could have brought an umbrella. Could have took a car. I am responsible for getting wet in the rain. And there's people out here who just don't take any responsibility for their own actions, let alone the weather. If you take complete self-accountability and you self-reflect, you can learn a whole bunch about
But
life.
could you not just say that it's raining, this is unfortunate?
No, but that's what losers do. It's raining. I'm unlucky.
I must
got
be-
told.
Yeah, I must be a loser.
but that's what they'll say. I got wet because it rained, not my fault. Whereas I'll say I got wet because I did not prepare for the rain. As the world gets more messed up, which it is, people are going to learn some very abrasive, harsh lessons. And sometimes when you've gone through a very harsh lesson, to be given a solution which isn't harsh, you're not going to believe it. To be given a harsh solution makes you feel like, okay, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. As a man, your life is supposed to be shit. My argument to this is people go, oh, I don't feel good. I say, good. Your life as a man is going to be terrible the entire time. Who told you at any point, I don't know what the Bible says. I haven't read it cover to cover like I've read the Quran, but I don't think the Bible says you're supposed to be happy all of the time.
I think follow your passion is also a terrible piece of advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. People say, hey, man, you need to find what you're passionate about and do that. And what they're trying to say is only do what you like because you have no motivation to do anything else. And motivation in and of itself is a scam. I don't believe in motivation. I believe in discipline. I am not motivated to do the things I'm supposed to do every day. I don't wake up full of like joy that I have to go to the gym or that I have to work or got to deal with crap. I don't feel motivated to do them. I'm disciplined. I do them regardless of how I feel. Whether I'm in the mood to do it or I'm not in the mood to do it, it gets done. That's discipline. Discipline's a real thing. Motivation is fleeting.
Yeah.
You're never going to be permanently motivated. So when someone comes along and says, oh, do what you're passionate about, what they're saying is you'll have endless motivation and then you'll be able to try hard. If you're the kind of person who can only try hard at something he enjoys, then you're going to fail. Because most things you enjoy don't pay any money. If they paid money, you wouldn't enjoy them. It's called a job, right? Nobody likes their job. You like your hobby. I'm sure you like playing video games. Maybe 1%, 0.1% can make money from video games, right? Most people, you ain't ever going to make it.
Yeah.
Do you think the guy in China who owns a concrete plant is passionate about concrete? Do you think he's sitting there stroking it at night, naked in bed? No, it's money. Be passionate about success. If you're passionate about money, then you can be passionate about anything. I'll be passionate about any business on earth that pays me. If you pay me $1 billion to dig that hole, I'll be very passionate about that hole. I will dig that hole with passion for the cash.
Yeah, because you know the cash
For
at
the
end of
money.
it. Yeah.
That's right. So when people come along and say, oh, you need to find something you're passionate about, follow your passion. Bro, you're going to follow your passion to the food bank. You're never going to make any money that way. You have to sit there and go, what is going to pay me?
It's not about detaching yourself from your emotions. I feel every single emotion. It's just about
So let
using
it
them.
go.
It's using them all in a positive direction.
Yeah.
If I feel extremely happy and excited, I'm going to use that as motivation or energy to do amazing things and do good and work hard. If I feel absolutely depressed and distraught, I'm going to use that as endless energy and motivation to do amazing things and work hard. It doesn't matter what you give me. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted and transferred. It doesn't matter what fuel you give me. If you give me diesel, petrol, kerosene, vodka, doesn't matter what you put inside of my engine.
Hard work is gonna come out.
Absolutely.
Success.
That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
That's all I know how to do. It doesn't matter what fuel you put in my engine. My engine only knows how to do one thing, and that is succeed. That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you feed me with. I'm going to be massively successful regardless.
When I was broke, when I was on a council estate in Luton, I thought everyone was poor. And now that I have money, it kind of feels like everyone's rich. I go to buy a plane and they're like, no, sold out. I thought you sold out of planes? I go to buy a Bugatti and they're like, sold out. I'm like, all the shit.
Who are these people?
Yeah, everyone's bought everything. Like,
Yeah.
And it's crazy how many people out there have such ridiculous sums of money, truly ridiculous sums of money. There are so many rich people in the world, and it's kind of like your reality is based on it's the Matrix, right? If you're broke, everyone's broke. If you're rich, everyone's rich. And a lot of people have this separation. I was lucky to live in both worlds, but a lot of people have this separation.
Yeah.
So
I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and my basic premise is that I was sitting at home and you're feeling truly heartbroken. At least you're feeling something, right? And I think that's the whole part of being human. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to go through pain. That's so I wake up each day and go, what can I attack? What problem can I solve? And look at history. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and want to conquer the whole world? Why did Napoleon conquer the world? Why did Alexander the Great conquer the world? You just wake up and just say, give me this, give me that. I want all of it. I need to, there's an army there. They're really big. We're better. It's intrinsic.
Yeah.
You need to go and conquer. That's the purpose of life.
I think the world is a violent place. I think there's violence all around us. I think that I view the world in a violent way. And I don't mean that in a negative context. I say a lot of things and people take them as negative, but I see them as positive, right? Like I say I'm an angry person and people imagine me to be like unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm super happy, but I'm angry. Angry is motivating to me. You can't sleep if you're angry, so you better work, right? So I'm an angry guy, but I'm a happy guy. And I see the world as a violent place. I've always seen it as a violent place. If most people look at a tree, they see a beautiful tree, right? If I look at a big, strong, beautiful tree, I think he must have f***ed up every other little sapling around him. He took all the water, took all the nutrients, he destroyed them all. There was once 20 trees, and all 19 are dead. And they got one tree left, the big G, top G tree.
one.
Top tree. Tate, that's it. That's violence. Violence got him there, right? He destroyed his enemy. That's how he got to the top. You see a beautiful tree, I see violence. You understand? And that's the true nature of the universe. You have to learn that you have to take things from other people. And by taking it, I'm not saying go rob a bank. I'm not saying that. I'm saying completely the opposite. You can be a philanthropist. I'm taking money from everyone inside of HU, but I'm changing their lives. It's a good thing. You can take money in a positive way. Most people don't look at life that way. And when you look at life that way, you need to start identifying. One of the things we teach inside of HU is to identify every single time your money is taken from you.
The only thing I will say I don't like about being banned is that you get 3 lives when you attack powerful people. They first ban you and try and shut you up. Secondly, they'll put you in jail for something you didn't do. And thirdly, they'll kill you. So I've used my first life, which is kind of upsetting when you know that next is going to be some false charges.
The 2 worst ones.
Yeah,
okay.
and if you survive the false charges, you just die.
Jesus.
So that's kind of upsetting. I like to think that people at home know if I ever ended up in a jail cell and the media started printing lie, that they'd know it's a pure lie and they made it up.
Yeah.
But that's kind of scary. Outside of that, the ban in and of itself has not, I don't care, bro. It's made no difference to my life.
You need to get a piece of paper or understand on a scale of 1 to 10 and say, how stressed do I want to be? How much pressure do I want to feel like I'm under? How much can I take? And be honest with yourself. I wanted this life. This is exactly what I want. It makes me happy. But there's a whole bunch of people who would not be happy in my position just because of the amount of pressure they're under. In my last cancellation, we had press trying to find my mother, family members doxxed. My last 20 ex-girlfriends called and offered a bribe, effectively 100,000 pounds to do a negative story on me. None of them turned. Bank accounts frozen, travel bans, all my social media is deleted, all over the news, national news, I'm evil, press releases in the schools saying that I'm bad for young men and I'm misogynistic. Like most people are not prepared for that level of pressure. I slept fine. Most people would be like, whoa, there are death threats. Like most people can't handle that. I can handle it fine. Most can't. You have to decide what you want to deal with. So when you're setting your expectations, it shouldn't just be about how much money you want to make. It's truly about how stressed and how much pressure do I want to be under. I actually enjoy it. I'm a warrior. I'd be bored in the other way. I want people coming for me. That's what I want. But if you don't want that, then don't build a life that does that.
I think if I were to talk to Tyson or Tyson were to talk to anybody, he'd say the same thing. He'd say, look, end of the day, even if you're struggling, it's you that's going to have to get up and get the work done and change your life. I think that a lot of the help, which is being purported now by the system, by the Matrix, isn't designed to help. I think it's designed to keep people in this state of depression because when you're depressed, you're submissive. You don't care about what happens to you if you're depressed. Depressed people aren't going to riot against a new law or against COVID tyranny because they're depressed. They're too busy. They're at home and they're sad. I think that keeping everybody in a degree of semi-neutral depression, semi-sad, is good for their ability to control all of us. So when they go on the TV and say, you're depressed, it's a disease, you can't fix it, there's nothing you can do about it, it's not your fault. I think they're just trying to reinforce in your mind that you're never going to get better. I think if they really cared, they'd say, like Tyson Fury says, you're depressed, but you can beat this. You can do this. I don't hear them saying that very often. They just sit there and say, everyone's depressed and it's normal. Accept it. And I don't accept that. I don't accept that. I don't think people should sit there and accept that they're sad. Change it. I think only you can change it. That's what I believe.
God created us to learn and understand ourselves and understand other people and understand the world. And what did I say earlier? I said that you don't learn a lesson or you don't appreciate something
Without pain.
Without pain. So you have to struggle to learn anything. There's only 2 ways to learn things, the hard way or the harder way. If you're smart, you can learn the hard way. But in my experience, 99% of the planet only learn the hardest possible way. If the lesson's even 85% effective, they'll make the same mistake. It's only when they completely decimate and destroy an element of their life do they sit there and go, oh, oops, now I get it.
No.
That's how it goes.
If you start with a good team, you're going to make it. That's really true. Brotherhood in and of itself is so valuable. If you sit around with 20 people and none of them are lazy and none of them are snakes, you're going to be fine. So You need to have people you can, give work. This guy's in charge of this thing. That guy's in charge of this
Delegate
thing.
people, different roles, different tasks.
Absolutely. You got to have a team. You got to have a network. And my network is so strong. That's one of the big advantages I have. I have people around me who I can genuinely, seriously trust.
I don't regret absolutely anything. I don't operate in that frame. I think that it's still a lot of people think that this is the end of me and they don't understand this is absolutely and utterly just the beginning. My only concern now is becoming too big. That's my concern. I'm worried about becoming too influential, too big.
I'm going to sit here and once again explain to you how different the world is when you have a mind which isn't warped and affected easily by outside influences. You are never going to become a robot. This has nothing to do with not feeling emotions. This has nothing to do with just becoming an empty, emotionless void of a person. That's not what this is. This is about understanding that you're a human being. You're going to feel emotions. This is a beautiful thing. And making sure that you use them in the correct way. A. And B, you do not ever let them stop you doing what you're supposed to do. I say to people often, I haven't felt like going to the gym in 2 years. I'm wearing my gym clothes right now. I just finished training. I haven't felt like training in 2 years. After 10 years of professional fighting, after giving my life to exercise, genuinely, I have not woke up and felt like, oh, I really want to train. I haven't felt that way in a long time. That's why I retired from fighting. But I have still gone and I've still trained regardless of how I feel. So this is one of the tenets, and there's going to be a lot of things you're going to learn, of an iron mindset. It's the ability to not let your feelings affect you, and sometimes to do the complete opposite of how you feel. Because you're not going to very often feel like working hard. You're not going to always feel like doing the right thing. You're not always going to be motivated. The idea that you need to be constantly motivated shows how weak your mindset is. I don't need motivation to go to the gym. I can not want to go with every fiber of my being and I will still be there. Because I use my cerebral ability, I use my mind, and I logically decide what I'm going to do with my day regardless of how I feel. Regardless of whether I'm motivated or not. Life is just getting things done, doing the right things, doing the important things, making sure they're done efficiently and thoroughly so that you live the best possible life. It's as simple as that. It's not particularly complicated. And this 6-week training is going to be about exercises you can do to teach yourself slowly over time to put together a mindset that prevents you from failure. Because if you have a mindset that doesn't allow you to fail, then you're simply going to win. There's no other option. So that's what this is all about. So in the first week, we're going to learn something which is extremely basic, but it's extremely important. I'm not going to be, and I don't want to be one of those guys who's like motivation, inspirational. I've never been one of them people. I don't believe in motivation, inspiration. I don't believe in that crap. I don't believe that you need motivation to get things done. I'm not going to sit here and just talk a whole bunch of motivational things to make you feel good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the things I always did that allowed me to put together the mindset I currently have. So, if you look at any story, literally any story with a hero in it, they all have one thing in common, and that thing is that there's always a villain. You cannot have a hero without a villain. It doesn't matter. You can think of any superhero, any comic book, any book you can think of, any movie, there's always a good guy and there's a bad guy. So for the good guy to exist, there has to be a bad guy. There's no other way for the duality of the universe to continue without this basic tenet. So you want to be the good guy in your story. You want, and I've said this before actually, as a man, life is going to be difficult. It's more difficult than being a woman. It's more difficult than anything else. So it's very easy to see yourself. Life is actually easier as a whole if you see yourself as a hero. Because in every single hero story, the hero suffers. He has a hard time. And if you understand that you're suffering because you're a hero, then the suffering begins to make sense. So you can be sitting here right now going, my woman doesn't respect me. I have no money in the bank. This is difficult. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling there. You can feel sorry for yourself. Or you can say, yeah, my woman doesn't respect me. I'm struggling. I can't make money. But you know what? That's because I'm a superhero. And my life's going to be hard because I'm a man. And as a hero, it's going to be difficult. These are the tests and the trials and the tribulations I have to go through to become someone. Every single male superhero went through a whole ton of shit before he became superhero. You've seen the Batman movies. His parents died. He was locked up in jail. All these bad things happen, and then they emerge as the hero. And this is done for a reason, because it's the reality of life, especially as a man. So right now, you have to understand that you're the hero in this movie. And if you're struggling for a very important reason. And how you handle these struggles and how you deal with these struggles is going to decide the kind of person you're going to be afterwards. You're either going to be a superhero or you're going to succumb to them and you're going to fail. So be happy that you're struggling because that's important. That's the first thing. Second thing is there has to be a villain. Now, most people think their villain is someone else. You see this all the time. The villain's the opposite of the hero. So if you're sitting at home and you haven't got much money and you're broke and you're pissed off and you're depressed and you look at me and I have 4 supercars and all these girls, I'm traveling the world, I go everywhere I want, you may think I'm your villain. People look at other people and think, oh, that guy has this guy has this, and they become envious and they think that's the villain. That's not true. That's not the case, because every single person has different circumstances. There are things you have that I don't have, and there's things I have that you don't have. So I may have had a genetic gift over you, for example, because I'm a fantastic kickboxer, but you may have been born more wealthy than me. I was born in a very, very poor family. So I had advantages and disadvantages. You had advantages and disadvantages. So comparing yourself to other people is asinine, and it's inane because it's not a level, fair playing ground. There are some people who are born to millionaire parents who are gorgeous, model, good looking, and have six packs without trying. Some people are lucky like that. That's just how it is. So comparing yourself to these people is not going to help you. Your villain is nobody else. Your villain is someone you're going to create. And you're going to create your villain because he's going to motivate you to be the most powerful hero you can possibly be. So you're going to create your villain. And this is the task for the first week. This is a 6-week training course. And over each week, you have a very important task. And the task for this week is to create your villain. To make sure that there was no disadvantages involved, your villain's going to be a clone of you. But what your villain's going to have is he's going to have some things you don't have. And your villain is going to be the person who basically, without requirement for motivation, without being, no matter how he feels that day, no matter how stressed he is from work, regardless of what happens to him, your villain's going to be the guy who always does exactly what he wants to do. So your villain's going to be the guy who goes to the gym regardless of how he feels. Your villain's going to be the guy who approaches every beautiful girl he ever sees and says, hey, I really think you're beautiful. Goes over to him and talks to them. Your villain's going to be the guy who asks for a raise at work. Your villain's going to be the guy who does everything he wants, regardless of how he feels, regardless if he's not motivated or not, regardless if he's shy to talk to that girl, or people are watching, or his ankle hurts, he doesn't want to go to the gym, whatever. Or he thinks his boss is going to fire him. Your villain is that dude who does anything he wants to do. So for this week, you have to sit and you have to make a list of all the things. You have to sit there and say, if I did everything I want to do, if I were to be the best version of myself possible, what would I do? Okay, well, I'd go to the gym every day. I'd get up at 6 a.m. and I'd go to the gym every day. You write that down. I'd approach every beautiful girl I ever see and I'd introduce myself and try and get their Instagram or their number. You'd write that down. For example, I'd start a side business. Even though I don't know anything about it, I'd learn how to make websites. My villain's the kind of guy who would sit there and he'd learn how to do it by himself and he'd start his own online business. Write that down. My villain's the kind of guy who reads really important books. I say I don't have time, but my enemy, this villain, he reads books. He finds time. He doesn't watch TV ever. He doesn't waste time ever. He doesn't eat junk food. He reads books. Writes it down. And you have to make a list. Now, this list at first should be easy for you, but then you're going to get to about 7 or 8 things and you're going to stop. No, this list needs to be 25 to 30 points long, minimum, because this is going to become your enemy for the next 6 weeks of training. You want to become a hero, you need someone to battle against. This is who you're battling against. You're battling against a better version of yourself, a version of yourself that doesn't succumb to how he feels, but does what he's supposed to do anyway. So this is who your villain's going to be. And when you're writing down this list, all the qualities your villain has, imagine what this person looks like. You have to put genuine effort into this. You have to imagine what he looks like, imagine how he walks, imagine how he talks, imagine what people think when they see him. Imagine how different you would be if you had been going to the gym every single day for an hour and a half, every single day for the last 2, 3, 4 years. Imagine it. Imagine how differently people would look at you. Imagine how differently females would treat you if you were jacked like that guy would be. You have to sit and you have to put down all these qualities, and then once the qualities are there, 25 or 30 minimum, then you have to imagine what kind of person this is. You have to imagine what he looks like, what he talks like, what he thinks like. Imagine how he views the world, because this is who you're going to be battling against. So you have to put genuine effort into constructing this person and understanding this person. The reason I'm saying do this is because this is what motivates me every single day. When I was training for a fight, the reason I'd always go train is because I knew my enemy was training. But when I stopped fighting professionally, I thought, well, what enemy do I have? And I realized I had to create my own. So when I don't feel like going to the gym, I imagine I've built my own enemy. I won't even list all the things that my enemy has. He has a whole bunch of shit I don't have. And he would be an nearly impossible person to beat. But when I sit and I don't feel like going to the gym, I know my enemy's training because he trains no matter what, regardless of how he feels, regardless if he's pissed off or if there's traffic or it's raining or he's tired. My enemy trains. When I see a girl and she's beautiful, but all her friends are there, I'm afraid they're going to laugh at me. My enemy wouldn't give a f***. He'd go over there anyway. That's who he is. He's a man. So when I understood who I was truly battling against, then you have 2 choices. You either rise up to try and take him on, or you become a little pussy. You have the choice. Do I want to lose to this man I've created and I've built? Do I want to lose to him, or do I want to beat him or compete with him? And you have to make a choice, and you sit there and go, well, I know that the person I created in my mind, my arch nemesis, would go over there and he'd talk to all the girls. Let alone one. And the crazy thing about all of this is that this person is you. This person is you. It's just you with a little bit of a different path or a different take on life. It's you who's the person who does whatever he's supposed to do regardless of how he feels. It's you with an iron mind. This is the exact point of it. The reason creating this enemy is so important, and the reason viewing him and seeing how he sees the world and understanding how important and powerful this person is important, is because that person is you. That person is you who does what he's supposed to do